Oh, George Kliavkoff, the commissioner of the Pac-12, has now got a little bit of egg on his face because of some open records requests that were able to unearth emails. Looks like one of the biggest beefs that George Kliavkoff had about how things went down between the Big 12 and the Pac-12 was a fudging of the truth. And this is something that not only Kliavkoff has been adamant about, but the media guys on the Pac 12 side have been very adamant about this. And we'll let you know what has happened now and why this looks a little bit different. And Kliavkoff continues to get played as far as the marketing of the two conferences, Big 12 and Pac 12, goes these days. Welcome into the channel. I am John Kurtz. Here on this channel, we talk college football, we talk conference realignment, and we do it from a Big 12 slant. Please consider subscribing if you have not. I'm live on Wednesdays and Sundays. Live chats are really fun. I sprinkle in some content here and there as well. You can support the channel on Venmo. It's John-Kurtz-4. If you'd like to do that, I really do sincerely appreciate all of you guys who support. I could not do it without you. All right. We have an article from The Athletic. It is about this Pac-12, Big 12 merger that at one point in time was discussed. Now, if you'll recall, George Kliavkoff was very mad when a report came out from Pete Thamel of ESPN that the Big 12 had said thanks but no thanks to the Pac-12 on any talk of a merger. This, of course, in the aftermath of USC and UCLA leaving. George Kliavkoff was very adamant that it was the other way around. It was the Pac-12 saying, no, we don't think that'll work with the Big 12. And that has been, even weeks and months after that actually happened, continue to be pushed by the John Wilners and John Canzanos of the world adamantly that did not happen that way. We've seen it over and over again. That has been tweeted in response to other people. That has been just basically a statement of fact from the Pac-12 side. Well, let me just read you this article from The Athletic. It says, before the Pac-12 and Big 12 engaged in a public feud regarding the most recent round of college football expansion and whether it might include one conference poaching teams from the other, Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff was intrigued by the possibility of partnering with the Big 12, according to an email obtained via public records request by The Athletic. A July 18th report by ESPN indicated that the leagues had decided against partnering, a decision framed as the Big 12 informing the Pac-12 it wasn't interested. Kliavkoff offered a different version of those events later that month, telling The Athletic at Pac-12 Media Day, the Big 12 asked whether we would be interested in merging, and we explained to them the financial reasons and the contractual reasons related to existing media deals that would make it impossible for us to merge with them. Okay, again, that was his story, and Wilner and Canzano have feverishly backed that up multiple times. It came up again about a month ago. I'm trying to remember what the story was where that popped back up. And again, we got a very strong, that is not how it happened. Not how it happened. Article continues. Kliavkoff actually seemed more open-minded in an email sent July 7th, 1 week after the USC-UCLA news broke, to Anne Marie Koss, the president of the University of Washington and the new chair of the Pac-12's executive committee, and Stanford president Mark Tessier-Levine, another executive committee member. In that email, Kliavkoff outlined his messaging strategy for a Zoom meeting scheduled for the following day with Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark, Texas Tech President and Big 12 Board of Directors Chair Lawrence Chovanec, and Kevin Sweeney, the Big 12's longtime general counsel. Says, quote, this is a Kliavkoff quote from the email that they uncovered. Says, quote, we are open to discussing a strategic relationship with the Big 12 that could help both conferences, and we have no preconceived notions about what would be possible or not. We think it is worth exploring. Kliavkoff wrote to two Pac-12 presidents. All right, so let's fire back up here. The Big 12 asked whether we would be interested in merging, and we explained to them the financial reasons and the contractual reasons related to existing media deals. It would be impossible for us to merge with them. That was the public statement from Kliavkoff when he got mad at how this was spun. But this was his actual email that was being sent to two Pac-12 presidents beforehand. We are open to discussing a strategic relationship with the Big 12 that could help both conferences, and we have no preconceived notions about what would be possible or not. We think it is worth exploring. Bit of a different tone, homie. Bit of a different tone, homie. You gotta always realize there's gonna be a paper trail there. I don't know how people these days think that it's not possible that the paper trail comes out at some point in time, but apparently we have that here with good old George. The article continues. Kliavkoff mentioned that he had informed Yormark that he also had spoken with the ACC, quote, and the ACC commissioner knows that we are talking to the Big 12. It was important to communicate to the Big 12 that transparency and good faith were paramount, Kliavkoff wrote. Quote, we want to work in good faith to see if there is value we can create together, but the certainty of each of our current memberships is essential to the potential value of any prospective collaboration, he wrote. The Pac-12 has not called or contacted a single president or AD or any other affiliated person with a Big 12 school in the last week, and we have not returned any such calls, recognizing the potential larger value to our members of a prospective collaboration with the Big 12 that increases our competitiveness on the national landscape. Okay, so look, basically saying nobody's calling us. We're not returning calls. We're not calling anybody else. We're not trying to get something over on the Big 12 here because we are interested in what a partnership could mean with us in the overall landscape. So we're not going to try and jump the shark on that. Again, seems just like a totally different tone than, no, look, they called us and we said, no, we can't do it because of X, Y, and Z. They're like trying to set the stage here for what they're doing. Nobody returned any phone calls. Nobody do anything because we're going to discuss a merger overall. The emails, the paper trail, the actual communication going on between Kliavkoff and company at that time paints a much different picture than what is after the fact Huffy Puffy story was to everybody after it got framed by ESPN as the Big 12, saying thanks but no thanks. More from the article. It says reports began circulating that the Big 12 was in talks with several Pac-12 schools to discuss expansion options. 6 days after Kliavkoff's email, Yormark declared the Big 12 open for business, a remark Kliavkoff clearly interpreted as directed at the Pac-12. At his conference's media day later that month, Kliavkoff reported that with respect to the Big 12 being open for business, I appreciate that. We haven't decided if we're going shopping there yet or not. He vented about grenades, good old grenades. Vented about grenades that have been lobbed from every corner of the Big 12 trying to destabilize our remaining conference, and touted what he believes to be the Pac-12's superior media rights value and declaring that no Pac-12 school is going to the Big 12. 2 Pac-12 athletic directors echoed that beef. Yeah, you can look at my Twitter feed for one of those. Shout out to the Utah Utes. Kliavkoff was at least intrigued by the Big 12's media rights timeline, though. It included it as a talking point with the 2 Pac-12 presidents, writing, there may be a particularly interesting opportunity since both of our media rights, and especially our football media rights, come up in the next 3 years, and this will be the last high-level college rights available for a long time. Okay, so literally, the public statement again was, we outlined all these reasons that we could not do this because of things like TV, and yet here in one of his emails, beforehand, Kliavkoff is intrigued by the partnership because of the TV contracts and because they would both be coming up at basically the same time. Just so many things that are inaccuracies here in the way that it was spun after the fact from what we can now see in the paper trail. I'm not suggesting Kliavkoff is the only guy to do this. I'm not suggesting it's really a bad thing, I guess, to try and work the media the way that you want, the way that is going to project more confidence for your league from everybody else. But this to me reinforces the fact that he's having circles run around him from a media standpoint, like public perception standpoint by Yormark. And it just, look, okay, whatever. He lied about the way that it came across in the media, trying to defend his conference, whatever. He's certainly not the first or the last person to try and do that. There's a lot of lying that goes on in conference realignment. Really, all is fair, right? In conference realignment, basically. But this gives me a lot more faith in having Brett Yormark at the helm, who's been able to get stories out to Pete Thamel about the Gonzaga thing. Both leagues talk to Gonzaga. Big 12 is the one that gets the story that leaks about talking to Gonzaga to generate more interest and excitement there. He's able to go push through, get the TV deal done quicker than what George is able to actually do. He gets Pete Thamel to write the story about the merger talks ending because the Big 12 decided to say thanks but no thanks. Like, he has just had Kliavkoff on his heels and is completely winning the public perception battle. Meanwhile, he just had TCU give him the best ammo he could possibly get, which is winning a college football playoff game. So Yormark, I think, has to be feeling pretty good about all this right now, and this kind of thing would just make me nervous if I were the Pac-12. I mean, it still is out there, the Amazon thing. They still may make more money per school if they're going to give up a bunch of exposure, but these sorts of things coming out would not be giving me confidence about my leader if I were the Pac-12 at this point in time. So I will be fair and say I'm leaving it open. Like, it may just be George having a rough cycle here and he's going to wind up getting it done and getting it done big. Maybe so. But he definitely needs to prove it, because right now there are a lot of question marks with things like this continuing to pop up. All right, again, here on the channel, I'm live on Wednesdays and Sundays. Consider clicking subscribe if you have not. We'll talk a lot of realignment. We'll talk a lot of Big 12 football and just college football in general here on this channel. So if you're a Big 12 fan in particular, make sure you subscribe. Click the bell so that you get alerts when I go live and when I do drop other content. Support the channel on Venmo, John-Kurtz-4. Tell your friends, your Big 12 football fans, your college football fans about this channel, and let's continue to grow this thing. I appreciate you all. Thanks for being here, and take care.